Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks commentary for Saturday, March the 31st. I'm Clay Emo at Canuck Clay on Twitter, and I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. Just got home to Richmond from watching the Vancouver Canucks defeat the Columbus Blue Jackets 5-4 in a very exciting overtime win. Well, the overtime was exciting. The game was pretty exciting once it got going about halfway through. But nevertheless, the Canucks won. Team Tank is going crazy. I'm happy. The Canucks have won now 5 of the last 6 games, and including their last 4 in a row. A few observations. I usually don't do these post-game recaps, but hey, it's sunny, it's Saturday afternoon, it's Easter weekend, I'm in a great mood, and the Canucks don't play again until Tuesday, so why not? So a few thoughts based on being at today's game. Firstly, because it was a day game, I noticed there were so many kids in the audience, and it was awesome. You know, a lot of young families at the game, probably kids that usually wouldn't go to a weeknight, even a weekend game because of how late it is, a weeknight game I should say, or a weekend night game. So it was wonderful to see all the children in the stands. And I'm a big advocate of immersing your kids into sporting culture, whether it's watching or of course playing. And I've brought all 3 of my kids to games, Canucks games, BC Lions games, Whitecaps games, and even the Grizzlies back in the day, ever since they were born. So it was wonderful atmosphere there. And I'm sure those kids, none of them were members of Team Tank yet, so I think they were happy to see the Canucks win. I was happy to see Thatcher Demko make his Canucks debut. He's won the game, obviously, 5-4. A few hairy moments, especially in the third period. But one thing I really noticed is how calm he is. He was calm during warm-up. He was calm at the start of the game, even when that first shot whizzed by him and went off the crossbar. And he looked really calm in the way he interacted with the refs, the officials, and, of course, his teammates, and even the opposition. I was very impressed. I was impressed with the way he handled himself in the post-game interview as well. You can tell he's very mature. College background, 2 years in Utica now. And you can tell he's not an 18 or 19-year-old, but rather 22 or 23-year-old. He has the makeup, the mindset of an NHL goalie. He reminds me of Corey Schneider, not just because he's wearing number 35, and they don't even play the same way, but I think just the career path. And maybe Demko will get to the NHL a bit faster than Schneider did, but it speaks to the maturity and the time it takes for a young goalie to develop in the minor leagues, so to speak, on the farm team. So he played very well, handled the puck well, made some good stops. Nothing amazing, but made some very solid stops. I was very happy for Demko. And even right at the start, after the warm-up, during the national anthems, it was actually cool. He stood along the blue line with his Canucks teammates. I thought that was kind of neat, instead of standing in his crease. Meanwhile, you had Korpisalo, in his end, doing some ninja warm-up. To each his own, whatever he needs to do, I guess, to get ready to get his mind in the game. But kind of nice contrast in styles. Korpisalo seemed very, not nervous. He's not nervous, but a little fidgety and maybe active is a better word, whereas Demko seemed very calm, standing along with his teammates on the blue line. So, congrats to Thatcher Demko. Now, it could have gone off the rails pretty quickly. In fact, it did, basically. Columbus gets out to a 1-0 lead. Seth Jones power play, one-timer, very good shot, very tough shot. And then the Canucks went on to score 4 unanswered goals. You had Goldobin getting in the act, Jokinen getting in on the act, Horvat got one, and I know I'm missing one. Oh, Archibald, who's the one who started it off. So within all those 4 goals, Jussi Jokinen piled up 3 points in playing against his former team. Tyler Mott, I don't think he got any points, but you could tell he wanted to make an impression against his former team. So you had Jokinen and Mott on one side, and then the other side you had Thomas Vanek, who went from the Canucks to Columbus, and he was invisible. I didn't notice him at all. I guess that's what invisible means. But yeah, after 2 periods, he'd only played 10 minutes, and he had no shots on goal, no points, no blocks, no hits, no takeaways, -1, 10 minutes and 6 seconds of ice time. I don't know what he ended up with, but he certainly wasn't very noticeable. And I know he's very streaky, right? Even when he was here with Vancouver, he would disappear for a bit and then go on these crazy hot streaks. So he's an up and down player for sure. Today, it just happened to be one of those down nights, down days for Thomas Vanek. Okay, so we get to the third period. Midway through, Lars Scheiders were at the game too, so that was exciting. They added to the atmosphere. Always fun when the Lars Scheiders are there. But they also started this na 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 hey goodbye song when the Canucks were up 4-1. Well, no problem. You think we're going to win, even with Demko in net. He's playing fine. And then Pierre-Luc Dubois scores on a Jackets power play. So now it's 4-2. Okay, not bad. 4 minutes left. We can do this. Then with 1.5 minutes left, the goalie pulled for Columbus. They score again. Okay, now it's getting a little hairy, 4-3. And then 16 seconds after that goal, the Jackets tied up, and now it's 4-4 with a minute and a half left. So they scored 3 goals on 3 consecutive shots in a span of 2.5 minutes in the last 4 minutes of the third period. Thankfully, there was a bit of calm in overtime, during the break, I should say, the quick intermission, the quick commercial break. And then in overtime, I look up and I see a combo of Sutter and Edler coming out of our zone. Okay. Then I see Gagne jump on over the boards. I don't know who he replaced. So now I'm looking down the ice and I see Sutter, Gagne, and Edler. Now, I'd much rather have, admittedly, Horvat, Virtanen, Pouliot, Stetcher, and maybe even Goldobin and Jokinen, who was hot. But no, those are the 3 guys on. And to his credit, Edler came in. Gagne came over the boards. It was a 2-on-1. Edler showed great poise, showed great patience in keeping the puck and put it behind Korpisalo for the win, sending the Canucks fans into euphoria, sending Team Tank into doldrums, and the Canucks with a 5-4 victory. Very impressed with Alex Edler, actually. He has, especially with the injuries to guys like Chris Tanev and Eric Goodbranson, Alex Edler has quietly put together a very solid season. I think it's his second or third most highest points total ever in a regular season. So I think he's doing very, very well. And he's a rock back there, plays the most minutes, of course, plays in all situations, power play, penalty kill, even strength. And there he was scoring the overtime winner. So good on Alex Edler, good for him. I don't get too upset when he refuses to waive his no trade clause, because I think he's one of the guys that is just meant to be a Canuck all their lives, including the Sedins. So a couple more things. I'll get to the Sedins in a second to wrap up. So overall, very entertaining game. Seth Jones, amazing, 4 points for Columbus. Panarin for Columbus also had 4 points, 4 assists actually, where I think Jones was 1 goal, 3 assists. So those guys had 4 points each. Meanwhile, for the Vancouver Canucks, UC Jokinen led the way. Not Knock, who's there? UC who? You see what a great game he had? You like that one? So UC Jokinen had 3 points, Bo Horvat had 2, and then 7 other Vancouver Canucks players had 1 point. So 9 skaters had points for the Canucks, which was a nice distribution of scoring. Lastly, actually 2 other things. Demko, the one thing I did notice though, you can't fault him on any of the 4 goals. He owned a couple of them. He said he could have played them better, but I thought he was fine. They weren't his fault. I was more concerned about the fact that the trio of Archibald and Mott and Sutter were on the ice for those 2 goals in 16 seconds. But, the Jackets have very skilled players. But one thing I did notice though is all the goals that beat Demko were either one-timers, either on the power play, or they were cross ice plays, which is hard for anyone to stop and hard for the defense to defend. But 3 of the 4 goals were going from Demko's left to right. So when we're watching it, we're looking at the net from right to left. It was one-timers, it was cross ice passes that had him moving to Demko's right. So when we're looking at right to left and Demko moving left to right, if that makes sense. Try and picture that. If you watch the highlights, you know what I mean. So I don't think it's a weakness in his game. Rather, it might be in the way that the Columbus forwards align and defensemen align. But that is, I did notice that he was having trouble, or at least the Jackets were scoring anytime they moved from their right to left with quick cross-ice passes or one-timers or whatever it may be. So that might be something to keep an eye on as Demko, continues his career. I'm not a goalie, so I can't really say what that was because, or maybe it was simply the fluky way that all the Columbus goals went in. At least 3 of the 4 of them went in. The only one that actually went the other way, left to right, was Dubois' second goal, or the Columbus second goal, Dubois' goal. On the power play in the third period. That started their ferocious comeback. Okay, lastly, the Sedins. I brought my son Sean to the game, and we were talking on the way, is this the last time that he's going to see them live? Hard to say. They weren't noticeable. They were okay tonight. They made a couple nice plays, but I don't think they got on the score sheet. And we could be looking at the last 3 games of their career, given that there's now news that they're going to meet with Jim Benning and maybe make a decision by the end of the season. So maybe we know heading into the final home game or the final away game at the very end of the year on April 7th, if that's going to be their last game or not. I have a feeling they're going to come back. But if they don't, it will be a very anticlimactic end to their season. End to their careers. That wouldn't be out of the question for them, given how humble and how understated they are. But we'll see what happens. I don't want to spend too much time and energy worrying about it now. I'm sure we'll hear about it within the next few days, whether or not they're indeed wrapping up or they intend to stay. Or maybe Benning and Linden afford them the time so they can make a decision in the offseason, which was the original plan overall. Okay, Now I know why I don't do these post games. I talk forever. It's 10 minutes now, so I appreciate you sticking with me. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to cover from today's game. A 5-4 victory. The Canucks moving up the standings at the wrong time for some, but I was thrilled to see the win, especially as a fan and as a card-carrying member of the anti-tank nation, or whatever they're called. Okay, that's enough for today. Canucks fans, leave a comment below. I would love to read and react. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Give this video a like and do all those good things. Have a blessed Easter weekend. Enjoy the time with your friends and family. God bless, and go Canucks go.